Hello, everybody at Forest Academy, and welcome to Wednesday's Character Skills Assembly. I'm really happy to be delivering Forest Academy's assembly today, and we are going to focus on a particular character skill. But before we do that, let's just recap what our character skills are at Forest Academy. These are skills that we want you to develop and take with you throughout your life. So we want you to have in blue there, wonder, be curious about what's around you. In green, we have integrity, for you to speak and treat others with honesty. In red, we want you to form good relationships with the peers and people around you. In yellow, we want you to become fantastic leaders who are kind and fair. And in orange, we want you to have a positive mindset and to know that things might not always go right the first time, but we keep trying and we grow and we challenge ourselves. So today's character skill, we're going to look at relationships. And that's that character skill in red there. To have good relationships with others, you need to be able to collaborate, work with others. You need to be able to communicate effectively, speak and listen to others well. You need to show empathy. And that can be quite tricky sometimes, but it's a skill we learn. It's so that you can relate to others. So, for example, if someone falls down and hurts their knee, you can empathise with them and understand that they might be a bit sad, their knee might be a bit sore, and that they might need some help. You can relate to them. You need to treat others with kindness. Being kind goes a very long way, and it can actually make someone's day. You'll never know how much walking down the corridor, if someone opens the door for you or they say, "Good morning, Miss Samuels, how are you?" And just that little bit of kindness can make you feel great for the rest of the day. And in order to have good relationship with others, you need to be able to share your things fairly. So we are going to focus on communication today, how we speak and listen to others. And in order to be a good communicator, you need to listen and respond to others appropriately and speak confidently when sharing your ideas and opinions and feelings with others. And sometimes doing that can be quite scary. When I was at primary school, I never used to like speaking in front of the class. I always found it really scary, made butterflies in my tummy. I felt really nervous, and it's something that I had to learn. And actually, once I'd done it a few times, it wasn't that bad. So what we're going to do in today's assembly is think about, what does good listening look like? How can we be a good listener in order to communicate to others effectively? And what I did is I went around the school and I took some photos of adults as they were talking, speaking and listening to each other. And I asked some adults some questions to see if they had some good learning and listening skills. So we're going to look at photos of those conversations, and you're going to think about whether that person is being a good listener or not. So let's make a start. So I went into the office to speak to Miss Humphreys to ask her a question. And this is the response I got from her. So do you think Miss Humphreys was being a good listener? Yes or no? I hope you agree with me that she wasn't. She had the piece of paper up in front of her face. She wasn't even looking at me. I don't know if she heard my question because I couldn't see her face. So we know that when you are being a good listener, you need to make sure you are looking at the person who is talking. Then they know that you are listening to what they have to say. Let's see who was next. Then I found Miss Billiard in the corridor and I asked her a question, and this was her response. Was she looking at me? No, she was not being a good listener. She was more interested in the ceiling or whatever she was looking at then. So Miss needs to remember to look at me when I am speaking so that I know she is listening. So when I see her, I'll remind her and tell her. Now, next, I found Mrs. Cross and Miss Milford in the staff room. Now, Miss Milford was busy setting some work and responding to Google Classroom, and Mrs. Cross came to ask her a question. Is Miss Milford showing good listening? I don't think she is either. You can even see Mrs. Cross trying to wave at Miss Milford to get her attention. But Miss Milford's not even facing Mrs. Cross. She's looking the wrong way. How do you think that made Mrs. Cross feel? If someone's not listening to you, how does that make you feel? And I imagine Mrs. Cross was getting a little bit annoyed, a bit frustrated. So then Mrs. Cross tried to ask Miss Milford the question again, and then There we have it. Miss Milford is looking at Mrs. Cross. She's smiling to show that she's listening. And Mrs. Cross has even given her a thumbs up to say good job. So this is what good listening looks like. We are looking towards each other. We are smiling. We're giving good facial expressions. And we are taking on board what the other person says. Now, you just got a quick flash of the next person on the next slide. And it was Mrs. Ray. So is Mrs. Ray showing good listening? And hopefully you'll agree with me that yes, she is. She stopped whatever she was doing, because Mrs. Ray is always very busy. She stopped what she is doing. She looked at me and I can see she's making eye contact. I know she's listening to the question that I'm asking. So thumbs up to Mrs. Ray for her good listening. Then next, look at these two. I went into the staff room and Miss Hartfield was trying to talk to Miss Perrott. Now, is Miss Perrott showing us good listening? Absolutely not. She's even got her fingers in her ears trying to block out what Miss Hartfield's saying. And I can see on Miss Hartfield's face that she's starting to get a bit annoyed, a bit frustrated and saying, come on, Miss Perrott, listen to me. So in the next slide, there we go, much better. Miss Perrott's taken her fingers out of her ears. She's showing good listening because she's facing Miss Hartfield. She's making eye contact with her. She's not fiddling with anything. So she's paying all of her attention to Miss Hartfield, and Miss Hartfield's facial expression has changed. She is feeling happy now. So whether you are at home or at school, it's really important to show good listening to others. And in this bit, we're going to talk about why. I'm sure you've had times where you've maybe asked someone something or you've wanted some information and they might have been busy, they might have laughed at what you've said. And when that happens, when you feel like Miss Hartfield here, when Miss Perrott's not listening, you can start to feel angry, sad, frustrated, and grumpy if someone doesn't listen to what you have to say. And I'm trying to think of maybe an example at home where mum or dad or brothers and sisters have maybe asked you to do something. I'm guessing maybe tidy up something is what we get asked that a lot at home, don't we? And they're having to ask you again and again and again, can you put those toys away? Can you tidy your desk away? Can you make your bed? But they're having to ask you again and again and again. And it gets frustrating, doesn't it, sometimes? And that's how adults that feel at home can feel, and sometimes at school when we are not listened to. So not only does it feel frustrating when you're a child, it can also feel quite frustrating as an adult if you're not listened to. Now, when we do get listened to properly, we're making eye contact, we're looking at each other, we're not fiddling. You can see Miss Hartfield is so much happier here, isn't she? She's got a big smile on her face. You can feel calm, you feel relaxed, and you feel supported if you are listened to well. So what I want you to think about as we come to the end of today's assembly is whether you're at home or at school at the moment, how are you going to communicate and listen well to those around you? We know how it feels if you're not listened to. So what can you do to make others feel loved? So when somebody asks you a question, are you going to put your game controller down, close your book? Are you going to turn and face the person who's speaking to you so they know that you've got their attention? And when you do that, people feel like Colour Monster here. They feel loved, they feel warm, they feel happy. So what are you going to do today and for the rest of the week to show good listening at home? Now, the last thing I wanted to share with you is we've set up on each of your Google Classroom pages a form that's called Chance to Chat, and it's under a Chance to Chat folder. What we want you to do is think about this like an online worry box. So you know at school, if you had a worry or a concern, you'd write it on the post-it note and you'd post it for the teacher to find. Well, seeing as we can't do that at the moment, this is another option. So if you have got a worry or a concern that you would like to talk about with somebody at school, then you can fill in this form. So it asks for your name, it asks for your class or year group, and which adult you would like to speak to. So it doesn't have to necessarily be your teacher. It could be another adult that you trust at school. This is not for you to discuss your schoolwork on. So if you still have questions about your learning, then you need to private comment or message to your teacher like you have been. This is just any worries that you might have about life at home or lockdown, or maybe you're finding your work it can be a bit overwhelming sometimes, you're finding it hard to have a routine, all those sorts of things. This is the place to go to ask your questions, okay? So learning, still message your teacher through Google Classroom, the private comments function. If you have a worry or a concern, then you message on Chance to Chat, just like you would do if you were at school and you wanted to put something in the worry box, okay? We're going to leave it there for today. Thank you to all of you who keep sending in your learning. We love looking at your photos. Please do have a look at our Twitter page, and because we're publishing lots of your work on there, and it'd be great for you to see what everybody else is up to. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will be delivering an assembly very soon. Bye-bye.